Welcome back to the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. We're brought to you by Pelican, built tough for all situations. Go to pelican.com. Yak Gadget, for all your fine kayak fishing accessory needs. Go to yakgadget.com. Eastport Marina, on the beautiful shores of Dale Hollow Lake. For all your lodging, kayaking, and fishing needs. Go to eastport.info. Now let's get this show started. What's going on? Facebook Live, YouTube podcast listeners, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Jay Randall. Welcome.
What's up? What's up, dude?
How you doing?
Oh, it's great. Life's a little busy right now.
I figured as much, and I was like, I told Matt, I was like, I should shoot Jay a text. Let's see if he's jumping in here.
Yeah. Well, we added a new kid to the mix, you know. So
I saw that.
This is a little butthead right here.
I saw that. Nice.
Nice. Yeah, so I'm keeping him here with me, and that was probably not a good idea at all.
Jay's gonna be getting scratched up all evening.
Yeah.
I like it.
He's like, there's so much stuff in here to screw around with.
Right on, man. What's new, brother? Haven't talked to you in a minute.
Yeah, I don't know. Same old, I guess. You know, just getting the store together and stuff, and getting ready to buckle down and get a new job, whatever that may be.
Oh man. Life problems,
yeah,
bro.
Pretty much.
I like it. Well, if you guys are tuning in, feel free to hit that share button down in the lower left-hand corner. That's what I'm doing right now. We got Matt Sowders in the house, one of our very own, and one of the newest PNF familiar members. Mr. Matt, how you doing, sir?
I am living the dream. What's going on, Jay? I already got I'm about to say, I already got a chance. We were talking to Brian before, and I was like, man, I just woke up from a nap like 10 minutes ago, and he was like, yeah, we're just going to get this started. Don't know what Jay's doing. I was like, oh, no, man. Just off of land or something.
I got like the crappiest laptop. This thing's got to be like 10 years old, too. I should upgrade it. Takes like 3 hours for it to boot up.
Oh,
so
it happens.
We're all high tech here, man. I mean, that's what we do.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. That's at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. I'm sitting here in front of I think my laptop's like 6.5 years old with a Amazon ring light, and this is the nicest thing I have. Is this Blue Yeti mic that I got off Amazon? That's like, So,
yeah,
nice.
my room's pretty much a budget setup, but it works.
This is what I'll give you guys a little inside, because they don't see it on the final cast with me and Brad. But like I was telling him, I was like, I give that old creepy man vibes off with the basement, because it looks great until you look this way, and it's the pit of doom. And then you look this way, and it's just random crap. Like, it's just, so I just have to be like perfect centered, so you can't see the baby stuff in the corner and like wrong way. There
it's like all you need is like an echo and like some kind of a water drip in the background, and you'd have it covered.
Yeah, I thought about getting like a little like a rat that runs on a string or something behind me.
The occasional,
and just like grab some baits and throw it at it. Like, shut up. Yeah, I'll tell you what. Just because we're talking about my weird basement, my wife wanted to get a mannequin from work to sell clothes and stuff.
Sure.
That she still hasn't sold any clothes with. So I had this mannequin that sits in my basement, and I got the great idea of putting a hat on it, and then like my Western hunting setup on it. So I have a backpack and everything on it, and I forgot it was there today. Walked down here, I about died. So like I walked around the corner, didn't turn the light on, and I just saw creepy person, and I was like, nice. Well, this is where I die.
Nice.
Drip.
Oh man, we got some. We got some of the other PNF members in here. We got Armando, Chris, Mr. Hicks. Mr. Hicks.
That guy's a loser.
Yeah, well, he's your co-host, bro. Just saying.
Still a loser. He's been on my coattails my whole life.
Well, let's start with that, man. Let's get some background on you, like where you're from, how you got into fishing and kayak fishing and all that good stuff, man.
So Dayton area. Grew up with old Bradley Hicks for like my entire life. Fishing kind of like a lot of people.
Wait a minute. We got to stop there. Has he always been as awkward as he is in present day?
Used to be worse.
Used to be worse.
It used to be worse.
Wow.
Like yeah. So, it's like I never see it as like awkward Brad or anything, because like he just said in the comments, Brad said Matt's like my own brother, and it is. I mean, we were together. I think he's 2 or 3 years older than me, but we were always together doing the same stuff all the time, listening to the same screamo hardcore music and getting judged by everyone in the early mid 2000s. And then we got an apartment together, and yeah, he was awkward. And it used to be like just hilarious. Like that's all it was. Like I didn't think it was awkward. I thought he was just being funny.
Yeah.
And he's still like that. And he just, what's awesome about old Richard Hicks is
Richard Hicks, that's right.
Richard Hicks, yeah.
Dick Hicks.
Dick Hicks. What's great about him is it's not that he's like awkward, like accidentally or on purpose. He doesn't care. Like Jay, I don't care. That's just how it is. He doesn't care. Like when we go do anything, like, hey man, you want to get something to eat? I don't care. Okay, well, I'm going to go on a Speedway and get something to eat. Okay. All right, whatever. Cool. That's where we're going. And we just go. So
I think this whole show is just going to be changed over to let's figure out why Brad's so awkward.
Dude, I don't know. It's a mystery, but it works for him because it's funny to be around him because he makes other people awkward. If you don't know him, they'll like sit there and he just won't talk, which is great. And they'll say a question. He'll be like, what's your opinion on this? Oh, I don't care. Yeah. And then you start talking about fishing and he doesn't shut up, which is awesome.
Oh yeah.
It's the same with me.
Yeah.
Like that's how I am now. I go out and I'm like, if we're not talking about fishing, like with you guys, I can cut up, but like people I don't know, it's like, yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Brad's in the chat. He says his wife's listening. She said she wants to join the show to talk about how awkward I am. I mean, that's totally fine.
Bring her in.
I'll send her the link right now, dude.
Oh my God, that'd be funny.
That's the thing too. Like, his wife is the sweetest lady. Like, yeah, I remember we went out there, like, slept on their couch. She made us some awesome cake balls, and dude, like, I'm like, man, why? How did this wonderful woman get stuck with such a weirdo?
I know. I'm thinking, the word short straw comes to mind.
Short straw.
Oh, I thought the same thing. He brings her back to the apartment one time, and I'm like, she's talking. I was like, in my head, I'm like, she's way too nice for him. Like, what's going on? Like, I'm not gonna be like I'm not gonna say anything because I don't want to ruin Brad's chances here. And then I found out she is probably the best baker I've ever met.
Oh yeah.
I've been eating like nonstop cookies, snickerdoodles, and I've been munching on a banana nut bread for like 2 weeks. Like I'm on the last slice. So I have to go get more of them now. Like
I remember cake balls.
Yeah, cake balls.
Dude, I've had her cake balls too. She doesn't do the cake balls as much anymore because she's branched out, and I think it was a good step in the right direction because it's fantastic. I haven't had one bad thing yet. So
yeah, I heard.
All right, we got sidetracked. We're not gonna totally kill Hicks.
Way go to Brad. Way to go.
Keep going.
that'll be a proper after hours show, I think.
Let's just ambush him. That's what we should do.
Right.
Like an intervention.
I was just gonna say an intervention. Get him to come out of his shell. So you're from Ohio. You grew up with Brad. So how did the fishing come into play?
So fishing was, it's kind of like everybody else out there. Not everybody, but a lot of people grew up with my dad going fishing, and he wasn't a huge fisherman. It was just like, hey, I fished with my dad. We're gonna go fish, and it would be. I remember we had a giant like catfish set up that he put little live bait on. I catch bluegill on, and it kind of morphed from that into when I was, I don't know, 11 or 12. I started fishing with a couple of my buddies, and his dad had a boat. So we went out and did some youth tournaments and stuff around here, like Caesars Creek, stuff like that.
That's cool.
Yeah, and that was awesome. I learned how to like use a fish finder at a young age, and it was one of the old, you know, like we have the tech now that shows me where the fish and whatnot is. And it was cool to learn that way and get competitive in it. And then kind of stopped fishing, not totally, but competitively for a few years, living with Brad. Like I'm the one who, me and my buddy Abram actually took Brad one time to go bank fishing at night, which was a terrible thing. We almost died like 8 times because we were in Caesars Creek Park trying to go down some sketchy stairs next to the dam where I'm pretty sure we saw like some homeless people or a ghost or something that, I don't know. It was just a sketchy night. And we got ran off by like DNR like twice. But anyway, did that and then kind of fell into a kayak when I was in the Marine Corps. I was selling a laptop and it was an Ascend 128. And this dude was like, I'll trade you a kayak for it. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I don't care. So I traded a kayak, got it, and been doing it ever since. That was 2015. So
nice, dude. Nice. Yeah. And shout out to you, man. Thank you for your service. I know you served overseas and all that good stuff, right?
Yeah. Yes. Fun times. I'll never give it or look back on it and never regret it. My knees and my back probably do, but I don't.
Sure.
It was fun.
Right on, man. Right on. So you get into the kayak after you get back home, man, and it's just been kind of downhill ever since, it seems like.
Oh, yeah. It was, I kind of fell into it, and I used the kayak when I was down there. Like any downtime I had, there was a little river that ran. I want to say it was the New River because that runs all the way down. But it ran through like urban Jacksonville to where I dump in, and it was just like my getaway time. Like that's what fishing became, to where I could de-stress, not worry about anything else. My mind kind of blanked out,
Sure.
which was awesome because, you know, there's obviously with all the good stuff in the military, there's always, you know, the negative stuff. So I was able to get away from that. And then me and my buddy Jordan would go out and we fish in his little Sun Dolphin. It's like the little 2-man boats, also known as the big kayak. I'm pretty sure the new 133X or like the Unlimited or bigger than that boat was.
Yeah.
Get chased by gators and all that fun crap. And I got stories of that too. But anyway, it was just a way to get away. And then, yeah, it was downhill. Like I got home, I got out and then sold that kayak, got into a topwater 106, was in that for like, I don't know, 8 months, got into a big fish 120, was in that for like 8 months. And then I got into the Bonafide RS 117. I've been in that since. Yeah.
Very similar to Brad Hicks. He doesn't keep a boat longer than 6 months. Just saying.
Well, I mean, you're 100% right. I got really comfortable in the RS, but I got that. I think I got that summer of last year, late summer.
Yeah.
My P127 is in the state. And I go pick it up like Monday or Tuesday. So that's another like 9-month boat. So
yeah. Well, I know you're running the XI3 on your RS 11.7, which is, it's pretty slick, man, the way you got that set up. You know, I floated in one of those for a while, and I loved it for just fishing the river here, you know. Are you going to throw the motor on the P127?
I haven't decided yet. I've been talking to Shane a little bit from the Bass Thumbs podcast.
Old Lemon.
Yeah, Old Lemon. I was talking to him because he runs the saltwater on it, but I was telling Brad, and I said it on like our show a couple weeks ago, I was like, Maddie's getting a little fatty, so Maddie needs to pedal. And so I'm probably going to pedal for a while, and then I might put a Newport on it because I think that would be the tits for the river because I could hit a log and not like die. So
yeah, the Newport, man, it's slick, man. Obviously, you guys got a podcast coming out next week, Thursday, and we kind of talked about some favorite things from this year so far. And I hopped on there for a minute, and that was definitely one of my highlights of the year so far. Like I love that thing, man.
Oh yeah, I mean it looks awesome. But yeah, I don't know yet. The P127 is it's my first pedal boat. So I
Okay.
don't know, maybe I'll just fall in love with pedaling and not want a motor until we go back to Dale Hollow and I want to die after going so far. But
yeah, that'll happen. That'll happen.
Yeah. So
dude, I did Kentucky
I
Lake
don't-
in a Goose HD, and paddling was like 4 miles out and 4 miles back, and
oh,
you know, I mean, it was so much fun.
No.
yeah, that's the word for it, is fun. I remember
Yeah.
last year at Dale Hollow, I was in the Big Fish and I had a Minn Kota on the rear of it, and I like rigged up my foot controls and I felt all fancy. And then Jimmy was pedaling and he came out. He's like, "Yeah, I gotta go find somebody's boat with a motor. I'm dying," because he was going around video everybody. And I was like, "Oh, that sucks. Maybe I don't want that."
Yeah, old Jimmy. Now he's got the Newport now too. He
Yep.
just got one. Yeah.
Are you
Jay's
gonna,
running
if you
it.
get, go ahead. Yeah, I'm running the Torpedo
No, you're-
403, the
Yeah.
OG. You know, but it works good. Are you gonna run a rock guard on there since you're gonna be in rivers?
Probably. I'm keeping the RS, so I'm not actually. There's the difference between me and Brad. Brad gets a kayak, falls in love with it, and a new kayak comes out and he just sells it and gets the new one. I'm
Yeah.
keeping the RS because the P127's a big old girl. So I might take it on the river one time and be like, I don't want to do this no more. I just want to drag the RS, and I'll just keep, and that'll become the river boat. It's already banged up anyway, and it's got a keel guard on it, and it's meant for the river. I mean, originally it's what it's meant for. So I might end up just doing that and having two boats and be a little bougie, but I don't know yet. We'll find out.
Go for
I mean,
it.
I got two boats, but I only use one.
I know
the
it's
other
like
one,
my,
I've
I was
had
gonna
the
say
other
my
one.
list goes on its side most of the time, and I'm using the
Yeah.
Frontier.
I got a brand new Unlimited in my garage that I got last fall, and it hasn't even touched the water. But
Lord.
that's going to change come hunting season, though. That'll be
I
a
was about to
hunting
say,
vessel. The other
that's
one
what I
will be
was gonna
set up
say.
for fishing. Yeah.
I was literally going to say, it's like, well, you have a perfect duck blind boat then, because
Yeah, I mean, and it's nice too because if I got somebody that comes up and I need a spare boat, like Jay, maybe I'll let him use it. But at least I got that option here. You know what I mean? But yeah, that was the sole purpose why I picked up two. The other one didn't come in till like almost the end of duck season, so I was just like, and it sat in the garage. So, but it is nice to have that, like, I don't have to strip down my fishing kayak to go out kayak hunting. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's
super nice.
That's another thing the RS might end up just being as a duck blind boat.
Okay.
Because where I duck hunt here, there's a couple lakes I could duck hunt and put a motor on, but I probably get shot because they have blinds all over the place, and I'll just get shot and I'll die. And and I'd rather not get like 3 shot picked it out of my butt or anything.
Yeah, right.
But there's one lake, it's no motor, it's small. No one duck hunts it except for me. Like me and my buddy, like 4 of their dudes. And I mean, when I went last year, we limited out accidentally on 6 wood ducks a pop. And
Nice.
we did that in an hour and a half. They just were, there were so many of them. So, but that's a no motor lake and no electric motor, like period. You can't have anything. So the RS might be a good little option for that.
Sure.
Just duck blind it up and then hit some different spots.
Nice. Yeah, that's the thing. You just duck hunt or you deer hunt too?
I deer hunt too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I deer hunt too. There's actually 2 spots this year I'm hunting. I've got cam set up where I have to kayak to get to them. So that's where the P127 will probably come in play, just because the RS, while it's a great boat and has a higher weight capacity, my luck, I'd get like the record typical or something and sink and die. So I don't want that to even be a possibility. So yeah, that's where, and I don't want to paddle with a big old stud ski on the back. So that's gonna be fun seeing how I can rig that out to get, because I saddle hunt, so I can get in with just really a backpack pretty much and wear my saddle and PFD, and then get back out and drag the deer out. So let's hope that goes well. We'll see. It's my first year kayak hunting for deer. So
Nice. No, it's cool, man. It's something that a lot of people are getting into, especially around public land. It's pretty slick.
oh yeah, I mean, Ohio, we're known. We got some great deer. We just have some. We don't have a ton of public. Like a lot of your really good areas is all private, so everyone fights for every square inch of public land. So if I can find like 2 islands I know of in a public park, I'm not saying anything because people will start looking. No one hunts it. One other guy did last year, but he's like, yeah, I got my deer. You can go this year. I won't go back. So I'm pretty much going to have the whole island to myself. And
Nice.
I've already got some pretty good picks. So I'm pumped.
That's weird because I know when I looked on Onyx, it seemed like there was a decent amount of public land in Ohio, especially around like your guys' area, or like a little south, like towards Cincinnati and like Cowan Lake and all that.
Yeah. So if you look down there, there's a lot of public land, but there are a ton of hunters, and a lot of people come from all the surrounding states to hunt Ohio too. So they're hunting all that public land. I'm real traditional when it comes to hunting, to where if I see a stand, I won't set up near the stand. The guy's he's put his time in. I'm not going to come up on his stuff, and I don't want to blow out a deer that he's been catching cams on. Just know what I mean,
right?
So that's what you'll go out there, and I mean, last year it took me. I went down to way down south, and it's a pretty big forest we have here that stretches like 8 counties, and it took me 45 minutes to get to somewhere where I couldn't see a stand. So
right on.
Yeah.
Right on. I like it. Jay, you been putting in some time on them boots, scouting areas out down in Tennessee, or you just been casually walking through the woods?
I mean, no. Actually, there's a place. I went mountain biking earlier today, and you can actually hunt there. And I saw a tiny little deer. All I could think was, "Oh my God, they are tiny here." I was like, "Oh man.
Yeah." I can tell you, I hunted, and when I was in North Carolina, they just looked like small dogs or big dogs. Like they were tiny, so small.
Yeah. Oh, I know. And I think even when I was with Brian, like we saw some deer like crossing the road once, and they're all super tiny. But what I am discovering though is the ticks are horrible out here. I had a tick in me today. Like when I came home, I took a shower and everything, and then I was like scratching my leg, and I was like, "Oh shit! Oh, oops, let it slip." But and then I was like totally worried because I was like, "Is this a Lone Star tick? Like, what is this thing? It was so damn tiny." And I was able to pull it out with its head. But I mean, I'd use a phone to like pull, like to be able to see it, to be able to pull it out. It was so tiny.
Oh, is that small?
So, dude, it's like, yeah. But there's tons of ticks out here, man. So that's the only thing that's kind of freaking me out. So I guess I just gotta like take it seriously,
So next month I'll probably skip stopping at your place on the way to
Well, I mean, they're not in the house, But it was just weird. It's like I didn't really go in. I was on the trails and just ended up with one on me.
I mean, where did you pull that tick off? Was it in your house?
No. Well, I mean, it was on me. But when I discovered it, I was like, and I was like, oh, this sucks. I was like, great. And then I'm like, I like meat. I don't want to stop eating meat. I hope this is one of them.
That's what I was going to ask. Is that the tick that like makes you allergic to eat meat?
Yeah. And I don't even know if that's what it was, because it didn't have the white speck on it, but it was like tiny and red and kind of had the same body style that because I immediately started looking stuff up. I was like, oh great. I was like, that's all I need, and then I'm reading up on like how it affects everybody. I'm like, I don't need this. I was like, I still got meat in the freezer. I was like I'm gonna have to give it away.
I'm about to say, I literally told my wife two years ago, I want to say, is whenever they came out and people started like talking about it, I told her, I was like, if I get bit by a tick and I can't eat meat, just know that I'm not going to be around much longer. I'm not living my life like that.
I know. Right. Turn into a rabbit.
I'm about to say, I can't do that. I eat like an orange. I eat one of those little cuties like every now and then, and that's the extent of my veggies. So like,
Yeah, I mean it's tick season for sure, man. Guys, gals out there, if you're walking through tall grass to get your boat put in the or your kayak put in the water, be conscious of it and definitely
Oh
check
yeah.
yourself every time you get back home. I know we talked to Aaron Steiger, and I know he's still having some underlying issues from
Yeah. Lyme
that
disease.
Lyme's disease and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And I think I just saw Dwayne Wally had a real bad tick bite and was at home recouping.
Yeah,
So.
you got. I circled it with a permanent marker, so I know where I got bit. So if there's like a red dot that starts showing up, if you catch it early though, you'll be fine, from what I hear and read. So, I mean, if it ends up happening, of course, if it's the other one, they said within 2 to 6 hours you would already know, because you would start to have the side effects like from eating like meat, and it's not all kinds of meat either. It could be some people it's just red meat, some people it's all meat. So I mean, you could still be eating fish and chicken, but you can't like do hoofed animals or whatever. And
Yeah,
I just
that's
don't want to
not
go
the
down that
life
road.
for me.
No.
So if you fall out of your chair, we should call 911 and send them to your house. Is what you're saying?
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
I think just
Hey.
for the rest of this podcast,
Yeah.
just get some bacon, just eat it, just so we know you're not
Yeah. Yeah. Like, we're joking about it now, but I was like having a little inner monologue like earlier going,
Oh man. Well, one thing I wanted to touch on with you tonight, Matt, is like I know you're a huge JDM guy, and like I just don't understand it. I don't. So like I mean, I know there's guys out there that like that's all they care about, So
yeah.
I mean, for those that may not know who are watching or listening, like what is JDM and why?
So JDM stands for Japanese Domestic Market, and it's basically, think of like your American tackle companies like Strike King, Lose, and all that, but all Japanese. So Biwa, Megabass, Shimano, Daiwa, which those are here too, but there's a whole nother rabbit hole of JDM, Shimano, and Daiwa stuff over in Japan. But I don't know why. So here's like bait wise, like for instance, this is Biwa. They sell, you can get that in the US too, but I got these from across the pond. And it's just, a regular old crawl style trailer bait thing. And it looks like Strike King could make this and whatnot. And there's nothing necessarily better about this bait other than I personally feel like I catch more fish when I use JDM stuff. The action seems to be a little bit better. The plastics they use tend to be a little bit softer, so you get more action out of it. Reel wise, all day, Shimano's JDM market makes Shimano's American market look bad. It's their reels just are smooth. Very little maintenance goes into them. They last forever. They outcast a lot of my domestic.
Is it the noise they make?
I'm talking about the MGLs. DCs have been, so DCs, when they hit the US market, I wasn't like, oh my God, it's got a computer chip in it. Cause I've had them for like, I bought my first Metanium for like $800 on eBay from Japan, right when I got back from deployment. That reel, if anyone is listening and watching from Jacksonville, North Carolina, if you go right down the road from the Osprey Club where the river is, if you go straight down, it's about 30 feet. It's still there on a St. Croix Legend rod. If you want to get it, feel free. There's gators there. You'll die, but you can try.
You should send jigging with Jordan down there. Send him a letter, be like, hey man, go get that.
No, dude, I remember that happened. It was my first JDM reel and everything, and I text my buddy, who's he's in the Marine Corps, Marine Recon. So basically, they scuba, fall out of perfectly good airplanes, and all that fun crap. And I was like, "Hey, man, you got your scuba stuff?" And he's like, "I mean, yeah." It's like, "Can you come get a rod and reel for me?" And he's like, "Where?" And I sent him. He's like, "No, there's gators there. I'm not doing that." I was like, well, we see gators all the time. We're in the field and we go through swamps and stuff. He's like, that's different. We're getting paid to do that. I'm not doing this for you for free. I was like, I'll pay you. He's like, yeah, it's not worth it. I was like, whatever, man. So yeah, it's still there. I guarantee you it probably still works. I've dropped a rod here with a reel on it for about 2 months, and went back and found it during hunting season at the same lake we were talking about. And I found it and it still works. And it's sitting on my desk over here waiting for a rod to get put on it. It's awesome.
This past weekend, dude, I was out fishing and dragging a shaky head, and I'm like, I must have weeds or something hung up on there. So I start reeling up, and I'm like, I got some a-hole's line, they left like a freaking mile-long piece of line. So I grab it off my shaky head. I start pulling it, and then I see a bobber, and then I'm like, there must be like a stick on the other end of this, right? No, it was a St. Croix medium light, spinning rod and reel combo. And I was just like, I wiped it down, it's probably was in there for a couple of weeks, because you could see like where the thread wraps on the eye guides and stuff was like kind of turning that foggy white. I gave it to my nephew. I was like,
dude, the water provides. It does. It takes away, but it provides. So
yeah.
No, I mean, it's like, I got some Mega Bass Vision 110s and 110 plus 2s and stuff like that. And those are $25 jerk baits. And I'm like, do they really make that big of a difference?
Yes, they do.
And they do. They do. I'm not disagreeing, but I don't know, man. I've just never understood buying like the $800 reels and all that crap.
So I've bought one of those. Brad in the comments is saying showed the cover scat. All my cover scats are in my boat right now, so I can't show you the cover scat. But the cover scat is the perfect example of JDM baits. It literally looks like a piece of poop. Looks like goose poop that you'd find. But oh my God, that thing catches so many fish for no reason other than it is the way it is. And dude, it's so good. But the $800 reels, like I bought one, and then all my other stuff, eBay is a great tool. We did a show on it, I think a month and a half ago. YG Japan. I get my reels through him directly from Tokyo. Dude ships to the US in like 2 days, which is magical to me. And you get them at a crazy discount. So like the $800 reel you're talking about, the Antares DC, I've got one of those. I didn't pay $800 for it. I paid like $3 because you just got to find the deals.
Sure.
And when you go over there, they're not that expensive either. I've got 2 buddies who are stationed in Oki right now that basically go out to the tackle shops in Okinawa, send me pictures, be like, hey, do you want anything? And then they ship it back to me. So
do you ever ask your buddies if they see Mr. Miyagi over there?
I did one time, and it was during like one of the hottest weeks they had, and they had like a tsunami come through. And I was like, did you see Mr. Miyagi fighting the tsunami off? And they both said some choice things to me, and it was a bad conversation. Sorry, they had to deal with it.
had to throw the Karate Kid reference in there. Why not?
So is that like an import price? I mean, so I'm kind of thinking of like how bikes go, right? So if you buy a bike from a big box store, you're not getting the good bike. You're getting like the OK welds, the heavier metals and all that. And then you go to a bike shop and you're getting like premium. Is there something to that?
Yeah. So like for instance, just because I've got 8 reels sitting over here not doing anything, this is the coveted US reel that makes noise, the Corrado DC. If you look, Brad, for example, he got the Scorpion MGL, which is that red reel he was posting that he's fallen in love with. They make the Scorpion DC, which is the Corrado body. It's identical to this, same braking system, the whole 9, but the whole thing just feels premium, like you said. So it's, as I just break the reel, but it feels the bearings are nicer, it's smoother, the gearing's nicer. And I don't know if it's like maybe that plays into it. And maybe I've always thought maybe it's just in my head, like, oh, this is JDM. It's a nicer product. But if you really tear them down, like you get like with Shimano, like the technology in this reel that came and hit the US 2 years ago came out in 2000. The DCI 4 came out, I think, in 2015 in Japan. So we're getting tech way later than they are. So when I go JDM Market and I buy the brand new Scorpion DC, the 21 Scorpion DC, that's the latest and greatest in Shimano's tech at that time. So you're basically jumping the line and waiting for it to hit the US.
Well, I remember when we did that podcast with the dude from Doomsday Tackle, he was talking about that. Like, we're always a couple years behind what they're fishing over in Asia, Japan, all that stuff. Like they have a lot of newer technology compared to what we have over here. It's almost like Asia, Japan, whatever is like the test market, and then it finally comes to the States almost. And that's because I remember in that podcast, he's like basically like Abu Garcia, like Shimano, Daiwa, like that stuff's almost all made in the same facilities, so to speak.
Yeah.
Which, you look at it, it's kind of crazy. They just all have different molds and throw different parts and pieces and stuff in there. But, I could see that, like, because I've seen some of the mega bass style jerk baits that where you hold them side by side and the profile of the body looks the same, but just the overall make of them seems better, the mega bass versus like the blanks or something that you can get in the States. Oh, we got Richie all fired up. He said JDM swim baits
all day. All day.
Don't get Richie started on swim baits. We'll be here for the next 4 hours.
Yeah, I mean, you're right when you talk about the blanks, because you can buy Vision 110 blanks because they lost the U.S. patent a couple years ago. So their blanks have flooded the market,
sure,
which isn't, a bad thing, because you can, like Dark Corner Custom Baits, he's the one who paints, like, for instance, as I just stabbed myself in the finger with this. He painted this for me, and he paints a lot of my other bigger swim baits, and they're just blanks off of something else. But, he paints some awesome designs that rival Megabass in quality and look. But, yeah, if you take that blank and you put it next to a Megabass blank, you can tell there's still something different about it, to where it could be the same blank, but maybe it's how it was molded, or how it was how the ball bearings are put into it, or something along those lines. It just makes it feel better or more
different.
premium.
Yeah. No, it's crazy, man. Like, I know a lot of guys that they just get super jazzed up and excited about all this JDM stuff, and I've never completely understood it. I've read a lot about it and heard some guys talk about it, but
once you make the dive, that's when you get like
downhill.
It is like I'm not as bad with tackle as I used to be. But I used to like not buy anything from Bass Pro or Cabela's or anywhere unless I had to have it. I would just order from Tackle Warehouse or the Asian fishing portal, order baits from there and stuff, and just get nothing but JDM stuff.
Sure.
Which is weird, because if you look at those countries out east, where all the Asian countries, they like bass is looked as an invasive species there.
Yeah.
So, like in Japan, there's only 3 lakes you're legally allowed to fish for bass. If you catch them in any other waterway, you're supposed to take them out like we do with Asian carp and kill them, which is crazy to me, because Megabass, Shimano, Daiwa, all those companies are there, but they're really geared there. They're geared toward trout and salt and stuff like that. That's why most of Shimano's reels can do fresh and salt water, because that's what they're geared for. So.
Well, I mean, this will make you cry. That's pretty much what they do up in Idaho with the smallmouth. Like, it's an invasive species, and they just don't care. They just pull them out.
I hate it. I know they do that in Washington too. I was talking to Brad about it.
Yeah, it's the same thing with walleyes too, man. Like, they were, I forget what show it was or that I was watching, and they were like throwing walleyes on the bank, and they're like, "That's a trash fish," and the dude was like, "What are you talking about? What is wrong with you? We are going to eat one of those. It is going to change your mind." And then the dude was like, "That is not a trash fish. Oh my God." Yeah.
Like, it's like that with carp for us here, like especially Asian carp. Like, I've caught Asian carp, and I can't bring myself, like, I know they're super invasive, but I can't bring myself to like just like that one video that was going around last year. This dude was just grabbing it and throwing it at a rock, just speared it off a rock. I can't bring myself to do that, but like I hate them. But then you learn like all these trout states. That's where it's at. It's the trout states. They kill smallmouth and all this stuff, and it just pisses me off.
Brad said walleye are overrated fight wise, and I'm not disagreeing with you on that. Unless it's a big one, like if it's a big one, you'll get some head shakes and some digs. But like if it's like 22 or under, it's like reeling in a wet sock. But it tastes like filet mignon. So, I mean,
that's one of the only fish I'll actually eat. So I'm not a huge fish guy, but I'll eat walleye and crappie and then deep fried cat. I hate catching catfish, but if it catches it and deep fries it, then I'll eat it. But
sure.
Yeah.
I'll say carp isn't so bad. I've had carp before.
Oh,
I don't
know.
It's not. I mean, I don't know. Like Illinois, they had bow fishing's huge. Obviously for the carp. So, but they have a festival every year, and they like show everybody how to fillet them and do all this stuff.
Yeah.
And it wasn't bad. I mean, I was the same way too, and I'm like, wait, this is a white flaky fish. Like this is interesting.
If they're
if it's done right by people who know what they're doing. Yeah. It looks easy to the guy who's doing it, so.
So there's two comments, and I want to get to this one first because I always see Hicks post this everywhere. I love deep fried smallmouth. He's just trying to pick fights and get people all riled up. But
just troll.
But story for you, story time with Uncle Brian here. Scott, the guy we started Paddle and Fin with, he was up in Canada, and his father-in-law, they would take a yearly trip up there, and he was like, he asked the guide, can I keep a smallmouth for the shore lunch? I've never had one, want to try it, and the guy's like, yes. They were fishing this lake that was abundantly full with smallmouth, and he's like, yes, please keep one, keep two, whatever, and I'll fry it up. And he's like, his father-in-law's like, that tastes like garbage. Like, what are you doing? This and that. So what he did is he had the guide put a piece of smallmouth and a piece of walleye on the plate, gave it to his father-in-law, and the father-in-law the whole time's like, I don't want to taste that garbage smallmouth. Don't put that on my plate. It's oily and nasty and blah, 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 blah. So he eats it. And he said the smallmouth piece tasted better than the walleye piece. So I think if you don't know, and I'm not trying to tell people to go out and slaughter a bunch of smallies, but
please don't do that. Please.
Every time Brad brings that up, I always think about that story because I don't think I've ever had smallmouth. But if you're in a place like Idaho, Canada, like where you're in a lake that there's thousands upon millions of freaking smallmouth and you keep one, that's your right? So
I mean, I'm not going to argue that it's your right to do. I mean, that's part of we can go on and on about what I think is ODNR needs to change some laws, but that's your right. If you don't do it, it's kind of like deer, right? So if you don't hunt deer, they'll overpopulate. Same with smallmouth, they'll overpopulate and they'll start damaging the ecosystem instead of keeping it healthy. So if you want to eat them, that's great. I just don't want to see it or hear about it. Just because I look at it as nothing but a sport fish.
Sure. Which, I mean, in most respects, most guys do, and especially when you look at how long it takes a smallmouth to get to, like I saw Brad in there, again, trolling. He caught some 20s, and I think it's something like 15, 18 years to get to 20 inches for a smallmouth.
It takes a hot minute, and if they hit, you can usually tell when you see a 20 incher, they're usually older fish. Like that 19 and a half I caught earlier this year was an old fish. I let it go, and probably the next day it spawned and then just floated down the river and got eaten by something because it was about to go.
So Jimmy's in the chat, and he said, I changed his life with fried walleye. And it's like anytime he talks about coming up here, he's like, can we go to that fish fry again, bro? Get some walleyes.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, no problem. No problem. But no, it's always interesting, man. Like, what was it, last week or something on the kayak bass fishing page? Like, guys were freaking out because some guy kept a few largemouth, and then like it started this whole thread of guys like posting pictures of largemouth that they kept, and I've never been the one, like, I don't judge. Like, if you pay your license and you keep your specific limit, like, all about it, dude. Like, that's up to you. But
yeah,
who am I to judge? And you don't know that person's situation either, dude. That could be like feeding his family for a week, like, you just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I won't disagree, and I won't, like, in that sense, I won't judge. What I hate is when I'm on the river or something, and I see a group, like a family group, cast netting smallmouth.
Yeah,
that's what like bugs me. And yes, Brad, I know harvesting is good for fisheries. That doesn't mean I have to like it.
So I got a perfect proof of this right here, and it's interesting, right? Like, Jay has fished my home lake, Brad's fished it, a bunch of other people, man. Like, the fishery I live on here is absolutely phenomenal. But I remember we're going back probably 12, 13 years, maybe even more. The first time I ever fished out here, it was just the whole lake was 12 to 14 inch bass. You couldn't find a bass over 14 inches, like, to save your life. And so what they did is they put a harvest on 12 to 14 inch bass for like 2 years to kind of thin it out. And like, the explanation I kind of got was, you got to kind of thin the herd so the bigger ones can get bigger and the smaller ones can grow, because they're all just, not being able to forage, so to speak. But it was super interesting. And now you go out, and I could find 12 to 14 inch fish for sure up shallow in the grass, but I can also go out and catch 10 fish over 18 inches in like 3 hours, bro. Like, it's pretty fun,
bro. It's like, it sounds style.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some truth to that, because I've got a buddy whose grandma has a pond on her farm, and he's like, yeah, there's just a bunch of like 12-inch fish. And I was like, because you have too many fish in there. He's like, well, what do you mean? I was like, well, if there's a bunch of 12-inch fish, those 12-inch fish bass are super, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Like situational, how they grow. So if there's a ton of fish, they'll stay smaller so they can stay peppy, and they can keep up with bait fish, so they can, because they're fighting 40,000 other fish for
sure,
the 20,000 forage species are in there. And I literally told him this 3 or 4 years ago, take some of those 12 inchers. He's like, well, I'm not going to eat them. I was like, yeah, just go release them in the river or something. I mean, you got the river runs through your property, just transfer some fish. And he did, and he can go out there now and he can catch 20s because he has less fish. I mean, he did a whole summer, every 12 to 14 inch fish he caught, he transferred or put it in a buddy's lake or something.
Sure.
And his fish size has gone up in just 2 years. So
James Wright in the chat says, saw similar practice with the halibut up in Alaska. You need those big females to produce big fish. And then Jimmy said, too many of the same size class are a problem. Harvesting also helps weed out the fish that don't have the big fish genetics. Hence the reason why the Texas Lunker program is very effective.
That program is awesome. For those listening and watching, if you haven't read up on that, go read up on the Lunker program in Texas. They basically, like, if you catch, and Jimmy, comment if I'm wrong, it's been a while since I read it, but if you catch a fish over 10 pounds, they DNR asks you to bring it to them.
Yeah.
And then they breed that fish to keep those big fish genetics, and they put it back into the lakes. And that's awesome. Like, that's how you make a trophy body of water.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
No, it's super cool, man, especially nowadays, with the advancements in technology and being able to, like, do that. You know what I mean? It's made some, I mean, just look at Texas, dude. It's between them and Florida. It's the amount of giant bass between those two, and even California, right? Because I think bass are an invasive species in California, right?
I'm not 100% sure. I think if they were, or if they still are, people might not look at them like that anymore, just because the possible world records come out of there like almost 3 times. It's always some technicality of why it doesn't win, and it goes back to that dude out in Japan. But I think the nation records from Clear Lake for the U.S. So
Brad says I need to read up on fish genetics. I don't really know how it works. And James Wright like chimed in before I could say it, but I'm pretty sure Brad may have never had sex. But yes, that's when mommy fish and daddy fish, get together and he squirts his juice on her eggs. That's how you reproduce, Brad. That's where the genetics come from.
Well, I think people are overlooking too that reproduction is incredibly hindered in situations. I mean, because bass obviously will cannibalize their own fish or same types, whatever, bass and all that. So, and that goes with anything. So there's got to be. I mean, a lot of those culling limits have scientific research behind it. So I mean. And it's not always the same everywhere. I mean, I would assume in some of the bigger, more like trophy lakes, you're going to see that more, and maybe there's just a blanket over other lakes. But I mean, the DNRs, they're looking at that stuff too. I mean, and I know it hurts to see that, and I see the same things too, man. I mean, people start laying out largemouth bass, and you see a smallmouth, and people just start going berserk. And
dude, it hurts. It does. I just see it, and my heart hurts. Like it's like how people who don't like to hunt, when I kill a deer, I feel like that's how they feel, and I can understand that's how they feel. I feel bad for them because that sucks. And for me, I'm like, I just smoked this deer at 30 yards with a 300 grain broadhead and just explode. I'm just pumped because I killed it. Because I have meat, and they're the same way I am with largemouth. Like if I see someone with a largemouth stringer, I'm just like, I just hate you.
Well, I mean,
I was going to say, hold on one second. To that point with the deer, nobody ever talks about when the DNR has those rifle weekends when it's just people who are licensed to help the DNR thin the herd. So that's not publicized, and people don't realize that's going on. But if there aren't enough hunters, that is going on too. So I mean, it's going to happen regardless.
We could go down a whole rabbit hole. All so fired up because the county I grew up in Illinois used to be number 6 on the Boone and Crockett list, and I don't remember if that was nationwide or statewide. I think statewide it was like number 3, but they started building more houses. Deer had nowhere to go. Insurance companies got pissed off from all the claims of hitting deer, and so they started sharpshooter programs in this BSCWD crap, and just completely annihilated the herd, and it's bad.
And they opened up hunting and forest reserves too.
Yeah, well, and James Wright chiming in, he said nobody's hitting a smallie with their Honda either. Well,
yeah, that's not my fault that you have a small car that would get decimated by a deer.
But in the same respect, right? Like you get excited about the meat, the guy keeping the smallmouth or the largemouth could be just getting just as excited as you shooting a deer,
Oh, I know, and they are. I don't know. It just hurts deep down. But what you're talking about, that county, I want to say I listened to that on the Meat Eater podcast like 6 months ago. They were talking. They did a tangent like we've done 6 times on the show already.
Sure.
And they just went down a rabbit hole, and they started talking about that to where the sharpshooter programs and everything. And I was like, man, they're like, it like decimated the herd and whatnot.
Well, and what was jacked up about that, and it's still jacked up, is like, they were killing piles of deer. Well, why didn't you extend the season or open it to the hunters? Now you're bringing in income. Hunters are being able to harvest the meat, feed their families. Instead, the state or the county's paying some yahoo to drink a 12-pack of Busch and sit out there with a freaking long-range rifle and over a bait pile, which spreads CWD, which is even stupider, you know. So you're basically replicating what is causing this allegedly, and you know, it's costing the state money rather than bringing in income by letting guys like us three go out and set up a stand in the trees. And
I would offer a devil's advocate. I would offer a devil's advocate reply to that, though. There are less hunters than there were in the past.
You would? You anti-hunting son of a bitch.
I'm just saying, man. It's like there's less hunters. People go out there and hunt so they can stop this crap.
I was about to say that.
Get it going.
I mean, you're not
too, right? Like, let's talk about that for a minute, because of COVID. You know, fishing license sales in pretty much every state in the country went through the roof, and it was the same with hunting licenses too. Like, there's a lot of people getting back out in the woods and back out on the water. So, I mean, that's where you may be seeing some of this stuff. So, I mean, again, like we've always said on the podcast, like, we try to educate as much as possible, and, you know, that's that. But, or if you see some guy on the freaking water and he's got 10 smallmouth on a stringer, try not to kill him and just tell him he's an idiot and he kept too many fish.
Shark hooks.
That should go well.
Yeah, shark
I'm
hooks.
pretty sure everybody that listens to Paddle and Fin will probably want to hurt the guy in some shape or form. You know what I mean? We're all smallmouth fans here, and now I'm not saying I'm not. I'm just, you know, if a guy keeps one, all right, I'm fine with that. Just don't keep a 20 or an 18.
All right, Brad.
Keep
I see your
14.
comments.
Dude,
you don't have
I
to.
could see
You don't
Brad
have to troll
making
us,
a video.
Brad. Yeah, stop trolling.
Brad,
taking me off.
We're on the same team, Brad. Just stop. It'll be okay, Mr. Awkward. We'll go back to talking shit about you.
Say we'll get Allie on, and then she can explain why you're so awkward.
That poor
That'll
woman,
be a fun
dude.
show.
I
feel for her.
Understand what she sees in him. That poor girl.
I'm just saying, you know, he's so awkward. There's got to be something.
All I gotta say is he must be hung like a horse or something.
That's what I was getting to without saying. Family show, but
I'm just saying.
It's got to be something.
Just saying.
Keep it clean.
I know.
Keep it clean. There's a 12-year-old that just heard that.
Yeah. I hope.
Well, I'll be honest. It's not the world I grew up at 12. He's heard worse on like ABC.
Yeah, sure.
I'm just saying. When I was growing up, The Guardian was the thing, and words got turned into other words, and that's what no matter what you believed or what was that was out there. Now, all no hands, no bars. It's just whatever you want to be on TV is on TV. So the kid knows. Don't worry.
No,
Ryan Dahl,
he's got full access on
Ryan
his phone.
Dahl in the house. What's up, brother?
Yeah.
But
Ryan's gonna get a nasty email from some parent later tonight.
Yeah.
My kid was listening to that, and you asked me what hung like a horse means. Just say it's not you, buddy, and then just call it.
Wilbur. That's an old one.
Brad says he's cracking up. That's probably because realistically it's like 3 inches.
Oh man.
All right, enough. We're winding down.
Oh.
It's been like an hour, man. Last thing I wanted to touch on, dude, and you're doing something kind of cool and different, and I wanted to bring it up because I've noticed it. Like on all your Facebook posts and stuff, man, you've been like tagging the podcast with links, your sponsors, stuff like that, and I don't see a ton of people doing that. And I thought it was super cool. It was unique and it was different. So, like, what kind of like made you do that? And I'm not saying this in a bad way. I think it's fucking badass that you're doing that, dude.
Yeah. So I just kind of, when I started, like you said earlier, going downhill with the kayak stuff, I started talking, I had a couple companies I was talking to, and like everything, I'm not a huge fan of like the big pro staffs. There's oh man. All right.
I'll call him Poquito Hicks.
This has been a great show.
I'm loving it. Yeah, so I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the pro staffs to where I'm not going to name drop any companies, but there's one company out there that me and Brad make fun of all the time, and I'm sure most of us do, where they have like 40,000 people on their pro staff.
Woo!
And yeah, yeah. And I wasn't a huge fan of that because I was like, well, I don't have to do anything to get on it. I just have to buy their stuff and I get a little discount. So like the companies that I either reach out to, like, I still can't pronounce their name. I've been with them for like 2.5 years. I can't pronounce their name, but I say Biome Power, which it's what, Brian? BioNO. Yep. So BioNO Power, I reached out to them and said, hey, I'm starting tournaments, which was 2 years ago, and last year I was fishing a lot more than I have this year. But talked to them, it's like, yeah, I'm looking for a battery sponsor, and they reached back out, sent me a battery, and it's so I want to make sure I'm posting, show some appreciation for that and help build their brand because I'm pro staffed on a couple teams, and it's at the end of the day, pro staff means promotional staff, not professional staff. So
Yep.
I think it's like my job, or not duty, but like to help promote the brand and give them a post. I'm not the one to think, hey, I've got this product and I'm going to shove it down your throat every post with my 10% discount code. But if it's something I'm sponsored by or pro staff by, and I believe in the product, I'm going to talk about it. And then there's stuff that I use that I'm not sponsored by or pro staff by, and I talk about that stuff too.
Sure.
So, it's last night on Bass Thumbs, he had the owner of Rogue on.
Yep.
And he was saying the same things about that. It's like, hey, obviously it's promotional staff. You want to promote them, but I'm not a huge fan of shoving stuff down people's throat. And I'm the same way. Like I'm not promoted by Catch at all.
Sure.
But they make a great product. And Rogue makes a great product, which now I have because I've lost 2 catch boards in the last year and a half.
I told you I'd send you a tether, bro.
I know you did. I know. And I had it. What's bad is I had a tether on it Saturday.
I know. You just got to make sure you clip it together.
Yeah, I'm an idiot. So I got the Titan because I posted a picture of my new catch board, and I'm not sponsored by them at all, but they make a superior product, and I'm a big fan of it. There's other things on the market that does the same thing, but just not as good. And underneath that post, the people who support me or help me get product or stuff, I want to make sure they get a little recognition. Some people aren't huge fans of that, to where they have like all their pro staffs and the bios and whatnot. But I mean, they've supported me and they've helped me out. And like Paddle and Finn, I'm proud to be on the podcast. It's dope. It's another, like Brad would laugh when I say it's choice, man. The whole podcast and everyone on it's choice. It's a good group of people that I think I said when we were at Dale Hollow, I'd only been on, I think I'd been 3 shows, and then I was hanging out with everyone there. Yeah. I was hanging out with everybody there, and I was like, man, this is the camaraderie I get from being on it. Yeah, I'm definitely going to support it because it's something I like. I think we do some great stuff, and we have some great info to get out to anglers and hunters. So,
no, for sure. No, it's something cool. And like I said, I've noticed it, quite a bit recently. Like, I always see your stuff pop up in my feed, and like, I should start doing some of that, because it's kind of laid out how we do it in the show notes for all the podcasts and stuff. Like, guys that are watching on Facebook and YouTube right now, like all our podcast sponsors and links and stuff are in the show notes like that. And then I saw you doing that, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I like that. It's, you're saying, hey, like I work with these companies without saying, hey, I work with these companies. It's more of like, go check these folks out, and if you like it, great. If not, whatever. But no, I like that aspect, man, that approach. And like I said, it's different. I'm not really seeing anybody else doing it that way, which is super cool, man. It's nice to be the guy making waves,
Yeah, I'm just floating down the same river that all of us are. I'm just doing it a little bit different. It's just I learned it it's funny. I learned how to do that from back in watching YouTube stuff back in the day.
Sure.
Before it got super gimmicky and whatnot, which there's still some I watch, but if they were talking about a product, they'd link it, and it would save me time to click the link instead of typing it and all that. And that's like, why I do it. It's just a time saver.
Yeah. It's like tactical bassing, like every episode they link all the baits in the show notes, and like that has saved me a ton of time too. Like,
oh yeah.
Oh, dude, I got to get those. And like, just go like, and I remember right before we went to Dale Hollow, right? Because there's these, I always forget who makes them, but the Tactical Bassin guys, they made this small swim bait head, and I love them, and that's what I was catching all my fish on Dale Hollow. And I needed to reorder every spring. I go through all my tackle, and I was like, oh shit, like we got Dale Hollow coming up. I'm gonna need those. So I went through and restocked, and I'm like, I couldn't find it to save my life on Tackle Warehouse. So I went back to the Tactical Bassin video, and bam, right there in the show notes, found the swim bait heads, and I was like, all right, now we're talking,
Yeah,
So.
I do it for myself too. Like I'll post stuff and I'll be like, yeah, I really like this. And then I'll forget about it because my brain just sucks now. I don't remember stuff anymore. And I'll go back to my posts and I'll be like, I've got a post link, and I'll click it. And I'm like, thank God.
Ryan Dahl hit it on the head. Dirty Jigs, Guppy Heads. Yes, those are them, my man. Those are them 100%. Jimmy saying I don't need any more tackle. I've actually been good on tackle, dude. I've been pretty calm. I lost all my black blue jackhammers to Northern Pike, so I had to go buy some, and I only bought 2, and usually I would buy 4 or 5. So I've been a good boy.
I haven't got to that point. Like when I worked at Camping World, it used to be Gander Outdoors, when they got rid of all the fun stuff because I was the fishing manager.
Sure.
They put all the fishing stuff 90% off. So I've got tubs. I've got a Pelican cooler, a 70 quart full of plastics. It's just to the top. Like, because I've run out of room, and I got the big Plano. Like, I've got this box. I haven't opened this box in like probably 2 or 3 months. I don't even remember what's in here. Like, and now that I'm looking, I needed some white Kitex on Saturday, so I found them. So,
I found them.
Thanks, and then
thanks to the podcast.
Yeah, and I got this big old thing behind me just full of random crap that, like, I've got a bunch of Guggen baits that I need to give Jimmy, and got a bunch of stuff.
Nice.
I mean, it's just I'm a tackle hoarder, and I'm okay with it. It's better to be a tackle hoarder than like addicted to like crack. So
yeah, exactly. I'm the same way, dude. Like you guys have seen the like Jimmy said in the chat, I roll around with a freaking tackle shop, but I've been good at like giving some stuff away and starting to slim down a little bit, just a little bit. But sometimes you got to do that.
I found I don't know if you're familiar with the I want to say Depths, but it's not Depths. It's Huddleston.
Oh yeah.
I found a Huddleston in my center console today. I didn't even know it was there. Like it's just there.
How do you not know a Huddleston's there in your center?
Like I ordered it.
It's a 9-inch bait, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a 9-inch.
Like, what are you stuffing bodies in there?
I opened my center console because I was getting my work keys, and I pull them out, and I was like, do I have a fish in here? And I was like, it doesn't smell. And I opened, I was like, oh yeah, I've been looking for that for like a month. Yeah, found it. I found it. It's still there. I didn't grab it because I'm stupid, but it's still there. I'll probably forget it's there, and I won't put it back on. And I'll find it again in 2 months. So.
Oh man. Yeah, good stuff, brother. Good stuff, man. We appreciate you hopping on tonight, man. It was super cool to sit down, chat with you. Go ahead, shout out your socials, all that good stuff, man. So the folks that may not know who you are or not follow you can do so.
Yeah, so on Facebook and Instagram, just Matt Sowders Fishing. And then every Thursday morning, you can catch me and Brad Hicks on the final cast on the Paddle and Fin Network. We got a last 3 or 4 shows at the bare minimum are awesome shows just to catch you back up. But yeah, give that a look. We got some dope stuff coming up.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you guys have been crushing it, man. It's super cool. I know me personally, I was super worried about trying to fill the old Trash Panda shoes, and you've slid into that position quite well, my friend. And you guys have been doing awesome, and it's super cool, man. I like what you guys are doing, and you're doing some cool stuff. And I know it's not always tough, it's not always easy to kind of figure out like, oh, who should we talk to this week, or what should we talk about? And yeah, no, it's super cool, man. You guys have been putting out some quality shows for sure.
I appreciate it. I don't think I'll ever fill old Josh's shoes, but I'm feeling them best I can. I got some sock stuff in the front, so it makes it look like I am.
You guys are your own separate entities, man. Like nobody could ever be the Trash Panda. That is for sure. But yeah, no, it's cool. Mr. Randall, final thoughts. God,
Yeah, great to see you guys. Shut up. I was like, no, it's good to see you guys, man. It's a good time, you know. I got to see.
I got to get down there.
Usual. Yeah, come on.
Yeah, we should
give me a
just
little
all
time,
have a meetup.
But yeah,
we should just plan a huge meetup down at Jay's place. We'll advertise it on all the other segments of the podcast, and
let's not let him know. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Just let me build my garage first.
100 people show up at Jay's house. It'll be great.
Yeah. Bunch of trucks and trailers full of kayaks. Where are we going, man?
Hey, let me joke will be on you guys. Parking is at a premium here.
Yeah.
On the side of
Jimmy says, "Let's take over Jay's house before I cast." I'm game.
Yeah,
Let's do it. Guys, gals, if you jumped in late, you could always go back, rewatch this show on Facebook, YouTube. Gets uploaded to the podcast platforms as soon as we jump off here, so it'll be live in the next half hour, 45 minutes or so. And appreciate you guys. Next week is going to be a unique show you're not going to want to miss. Next week is Father's Day, so I got a pretty cool guest lined up. It's going to be a fun show. I'm sure a few swear words are going to slip out in this one. Some stories are going to be told. You guys aren't going to want to miss it. We're here every Thursday night, 7 Central, 8 Eastern, 5 o'clock out on the West Coast. As always, boys and girls, deadlines, smooth paddling. Peace. Thanks for tuning in to another killer episode here on Paddle and Fin. Be sure to drop a 5-star rating, a thumbs up, or smash that subscribe button on any platform you're listening in on. Be sure to check us out on Waypoint TV, waypointtv.com. Make sure you sign up for the Fantasy Kayak Fishing League at paddleandfin.com/fantasy. You could support this show through Patreon, patreon.com/paddleandfin. Don't forget to check out the website, paddleandfin.com. Catch us on YouTube. If you got a question, comment, or want to see a future guest on the show, be sure to email us at paddleandfin@gmail.com. Shout out to our show supporters, Yak Gadget. You can check out all the fine kayak accessories at yakgadget.com. Pelican Professional. For all your cases, coolers, and lighting needs, go to pelican.com. Rocktown Adventures, your Midwest premier paddle sports destination. Go to rocktownadventures.com. Eastport Marina, the beautiful destination on Dale Hollow Lake. If you're looking for lodging, kayaks, kayak accessories, or anything fishing related on the beautiful Dale Hollow Lake, go to eastport.info. And Jigmasters Jigs. When in doubt, get the jig out. Go to jigmasters.com and fill your tackle boxes today.